Well, because
What
I
else? What
think,
would you like
yeah,
to
because I think
also bring?
because I would love to just sort of, because I know, I'm not sure how many people watch this show, but I do think it's important to sort of talk about the benefits of coaching and
Absolutely.
why Oprah talks about having a coach, and
Mm-hmm.
why people are, even at the top of their game, why it's important to have sort of an outside unbiased perspective, because
Mm-hmm.
it's someone who maybe you don't talk to on a daily basis, or know for that matter, but that can kind of come in and talk to you confidentially about where you are and where you want to go, whether
Mm-hmm.
it is at the job or in your life, or
Right.
both. Hopefully you're looking at your life as a full sort of 360.
Mm-hmm.
But the sort of benefits of it, kind of what we do, because I think sometimes people still hear the word coach, but they're not sure how to apply that to their lives and why they would need a
Well,
coach or think about working with a coach.
certainly today more than ever, the business landscape is changing.
Absolutely.
Change is the new norm.
Yes, the new
There is
normal.
right. Nothing is set in stone anymore, and there's so much upheaval that a lot of people are in transition, or they're in a job that they're not happy with, or they need to move somewhere, and it's very hard to kind of move that ship by yourself.
Oh, sure. And
So it's
yeah.
better to have a partner
Yeah,
to
I
help
agree.
you.
Because a lot of my clients come to me and say, oh, my husband thinks I should do this, or my friend, or my relative, or my child. And it's different because obviously our friends and family want the best for us in terms of their intentions, but they have sort of their lens.
Yes,
And it is a little
exactly.
biased because I'm
Right.
sure they know or think they know what's right for you.
Right,
So to talk
exactly.
to someone who maybe isn't part of your immediate circle, to really sort of talk things out in a way, and I think it's a very sort of deep and important relationship when you have a coach,
Absolutely.
because it gives you sort of a perspective that, from someone who doesn't know you and doesn't have any sort of agenda in terms of where you're going. But I think it's
Sure.
important to kind of have that, as a tool, and to realize that you don't have to go it alone. You don't have to figure it out on your own, because
Right.
sometimes the brain, and we do lots of studies in terms of neuroscience and coaching, sometimes the brain can't even go there because you're not even sure where to start. I get a lot of that. Clients come to me and
Well,
say,
yeah,
I've been out
right.
of job for 10 or 15 years. I've never had to update my resume, and now I'm being laid off. What do I
Right.
do?
Right. That's more the norm.
And that's actually, unfortunately, the norm.
People are dusting off their resumes, and not only their resumes, but their interviewing skills.
Oh, absolutely.
If you've been at a job for 10 years or 8 years or 5 years, the world has changed since then, and the interviewing process is very, very different.
The interviewing process, the technology on the job.
Exactly.
I think it's changing and will continue to change. And now with technology growing the way it has, and it will continue, you almost would do yourself a disservice, I think, by not working with a coach. Because we need to think about sort of where we're going next, and not to hear the words layoff, or we're being reorganized, or there's been a merger or an acquisition.
You've been downsized.
Right, you've been downsized,
Right.
but I think a coach actually is a proactive way instead of reactive,
Right.
to kind of get a hold on where you're going and figure out that plan B to say, if this job goes away for whatever reason,
Right.
what would I do? What
Right.
could I do? Would
Right.
I stay in this field? Would I look
That's
elsewhere?
right. And that's what people are doing. They're thinking, where else can I go? Or because A, they may not like it, or there may be no jobs in that particular industry. And they're going to have to reinvent themselves, redefine themselves, reposition themselves.
Yeah.
And it becomes daunting.
Yeah.
Very daunting.
But
It's
also
hard to go it
exciting.
alone.
Right, but also
I
exciting.
don't think people look at it as exciting at that moment in time.
Right. Right,
And
of course.
yes, it could be.
Right.
But people get scared.
Oh yeah, it's very scary, which is also another reason to
right.
work with a coach, because I always say to my clients, where there's change, there's opportunity. So sometimes something, or your darkest hour might be sort of an opportunity or a window for you to start something so different and so beautiful and so new in your life that you might not even have known or been able to find until
Exactly.
you were sort of forced to change or to transition.
That's true.
And sometimes
Yeah.
it's better. For the most part, I think it's always better. What I've found with a lot of my clients is change is very difficult, but it also sort of shows us a different side of ourselves and helps
Right.
us grow in ways
Exactly.
that maybe we wouldn't have done otherwise if
That's-
it wasn't
that's-
for that change.
Well, I like to, my metaphor is, when you let go of one trapeze, before you grab onto the next one, you're in the gap,
Yeah.
that place in limbo.
Ugh.
Yeah, right.
And that's a hard place to be.
That's a hard. That's,
Yeah.
you know, but that's the place that people grow.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're challenged, and it's courageous, and it's turbulent waters, and that's the place they have to fend for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very scary place, and that more than not is where people are. If they've been let go, they're hanging out,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, it's sink or swim, and they have to learn to find the parts of themselves
That are going to get them through.
right, that they never allowed to come forth,
Yeah.
whether it be any part, you know, could be creative,
Mm-hmm.
where they learn to deal before they can, you know, grab on to the next trapeze, which is more safety and home.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But you know
is.
what? I think you're right about the whole kind of sometimes we're stuck in the gap. I think a lot of people who come to us for coaching say, I'm exactly that. Either they say, I'm feeling stuck, or I'm frustrated with the job, or I'm frustrated with my boss, or I'm frustrated with whatever the circumstance is. I think what's beautiful about what we get to do for a living is really help people sort of get out of the stuck and flourish. And I heard that word being used quite a bit this year at the global conference.
Oh, really?
It's to really, like, sometimes to see what people are capable of and the potential that they have. And maybe it just hasn't been, you know, explored because they have been afraid to sort of take the next step. I think what we get to see is almost like a flower that sort of opens up.
Right.
And maybe
Exactly.
someone who's been plateauing or status quo decides, you know what, this isn't good enough anymore. I want to do better,
Right.
or I want to see what else is out there for me to do.
And, you know, when I look at your title, I mean, they're just titles, or mine, the word development, that's what this is about. You're helping them develop themselves with their personal and personal life and their career.
Sure.
And they really kind of go together.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
they're not separate.
Oh, no.
You take your personal life to work with you. It's not like you leave, you know, it's like your pajamas. You don't leave, you know, you don't leave who you are at home.
Absolutely.
You take it with you, and that affects your job
And
and your work capacity and your productivity. And all of that comes into play, especially, and I've said this, with today's landscape, because it's never been as rocky
Oh, yeah.
and as uncertain as it is. And, you know, I refer to as we're all dancing on shifting sands. You know, there's just no place to stay steady.
No,
and
it's true.
if you can learn that dance and be comfortable with it, then you have certainly mastered a lot.
Yeah, and we always say in coaching, you have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable.
Right, right.
So I think that's
Yeah.
part of the process here too, is that we're okay with this sort of uncomfortable because our job is to sort of help you through
Right.
and give you the support you need to get back to some sort of comfort or some sort of, I mean, I always wish for my clients even more than that, but to really flourish and to really thrive and to really get to a place where they can say, I love my life, I love what I do for a
Right,
living,
right.
you know, in terms of kind of getting to that next step or plateau or whatever it is that they want.
And I think, you know, we all have had clients where we have seen this miraculous flourish.
Oh, yeah.
Where they've
Such a
really
great thing.
blossomed and gone on to do amazing things, and, you know, turning their life where it was here to somewhere over there.
Yeah.
Which is,
And
you know, certainly
sometimes,
helped them.
right, and sometimes I think we say in coaching too, it doesn't have to be a full sort of 180.
Oh, no, not
Even
at all.
the smallest of steps,
Steps, right.
it makes a big difference. You know, I think in terms of our clients and our client relationships, you know, I learn from them and they learn from me. I think the part,
Oh,
the,
yeah.
the
It's always a
development
give
is,
and take.
yeah, the development
Right.
is really beautiful
Exactly.
because you should never stop developing or learning or changing
Exactly.
because we're living beings and we should be changing. I mean, that's a normal part. You don't ever want to get to a place where you're not thinking
Right.
or you're not able to be creative or you're not able to sort of think about things from a different perspective. So, I mean, the part that I love in what we do is that we get to see sort of that metamorphosis and sort of people sort of getting themselves out of a stuck sort of scenario into one where they do feel happier and more balanced in terms of their life as a whole.
Well, that's great. So with all of this coaching knowledge and everything, you're going to be the incoming president
Yes.
of the ICF Long Island chapter next year, and
Yes.
I'm going to be the president, the incoming president and president next year of the ICF NYC chapter.
Yeah, so we will be
with
doing a lot of work together.
That's true. Our
Yes.
paths have kind of paralleled each other, Josephine.
They have.
So with all of this, what's your intention, your mission for your chapter for next year?
Well, I mean, I'm going to continue to. I've been programming director of my chapter for the past 2 years. And again, you are who you are. So I sort of bring in the folks that are the programs that help our chapter members grow and develop and continue to sort of tweak their skills to be the best coaches that they can be. And as incoming president, I hope to do that even more, to sort of give them inspiration and education to really sort of get everything that they can so that they can really service their clients in the best way that they can. So giving them the tools that they need to be successful, because you are who you are, and also when you're working with your clients, it's important that you're feeling balanced and sort of nourished from the inside out, and I hope to do more of that in terms of my chapter and getting them really excited and bringing in sort of different schools of thought. One of the things I thought about was, as coaches, we really feed from a lot of schools of thought, like positive psychology, philosophy, organizational development, so kind of to bring in more experts from those fields so that we can continue to learn from each other, because coaching is not separate from everything else that there is out there. It's related to sort of teaching and counseling and therapy, and I mean, you name it, everything sort of feeds into the coaching model. And I think it's important for us, instead of sort of separating ourselves from everything else that's out there, to say coaching sort of brings you that full package of what it is you need to move forward, and sort of how we can build on those skills is sort of my mission.
So it's about bringing value to the chapter and its members.
Absolutely.
And to hopefully grow your chapter.
Well, grow my
members.
chapter, and in turn sort of, have them sort of be able to continue paying it forward. I love that movie. And also sort of working towards the greater good of helping as many people as they can, and hopefully those people would sort of pay it forward. So coaching, I think, is kind of a world process. So getting, yes, our chapter coaches well equipped and ready for the future, because again, like you said, it's changing every day.
Yeah.
And then how to sort of get them to come into the world and give that service in a way that they're already doing, but continue to build on that.
And by bringing in guest speakers like we do, you not only bring value but information, and perhaps they can gain and glean new tools that they can take away and use, put in their toolkit and use with their clients, or whatever it is, from A to Z.
Yeah, because even as coaches, we don't have all the answers.
No, we don't have any answers when we work with clients.
Right. I mean, our job is not to tell them what to do, but how to get people to a place where they want to be. Our agenda is their agenda. So I think one of the things that, as coaches, kind of living your brand, and I did a lot of branding in terms of where I was at the network, I've translated my branding skills from the television world to now an individual. How do you brand yourself during the job search? How do you brand yourself on an interview? How do you brand yourself at a company? And I think as coaches, we have to live our brand, and our brand is change. We help people through change, and we have to continue to change and to grow. So just like we're offering career and personal development, we have to be at a place where we're also changing and growing in terms of our careers and personal development.
And at this point, we have only a couple of seconds left.
Oh, great.
I wanted to say, it went pretty quickly. I want to say thank you so much. I think
pleasure.
It's been fun and insightful, and I hope everyone out there has gotten a little bit of an insight into coaching and come to our meeting this coming Wednesday. So thank you.
It's been my pleasure. It's been my pleasure.
Take care.
Good night, New York.